A very good morning to you, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Delighted to be with you today. My name is Eleni Giokos. I'm an anchor correspondent at CNN. I'm also the host of the most exciting African show, Connecting Africa, because we talk about trade. You watch it, right, Tony?
And investment.
Yeah? And investment. Okay, Tony, just to give everyone a sense of who you are and what you're about. You're the chairman of United Bank for Africa. Yeah. You're the founder, as well as the chairman of Ayers Holdings. Investments in financial services, hospitality, power, energy, technology, healthcare. I'm waiting for food to be added in and agriculture at some point. Yeah. It's coming, right?
It's coming.
Coming? Okay. So for those of you, I'm sure everybody here knows a little bit about Tony, but he's got the most incredible foundation where you've been able to train 1.5 million young Africans through your digital platform and invested $100 million in 20,000 young entrepreneurs, creating 400,000 indirect jobs. I think that deserves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And what an incredible feat, because you were the pioneer of philanthropy in Africa. I think we must never forget that. But I want you to tell me about why you started focusing on that young African that just has an idea, doesn't know how to put a business plan together, and finding a way to train them and then give them money to make good on their dreams.
I think I am a product of luck.
Yeah.
And I believe that I am where I am today because of luck. And not because I was the most intelligent in class or the most, I wasn't. But the point is, all around us in Africa, we have a young population. Over 60% of our people are under the age of 30. The median age of African population is 19 years. And so looking around you, growing up in Africa, seeing yourself as someone who could or who is where he is today as a result of luck, the best I thought I needed to do was to prioritize these young Africans, invest in them, invest in their future, give them economic opportunities, give them the luck that I had growing up. And that is why my wife and I founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation and decided to see and so it's all about playing our own role in dealing with the issue of poverty alleviation, playing our own role in making sure that everyone, especially our women, are involved in economic activities on the continent, making sure that we create jobs. I believe that joblessness is a betrayal of a generation.
Yeah.
And when young people go to school and they are unable to find jobs, they embrace other vices in society. And we turn back and blame them. But then we ask ourselves, what role did we play in helping to give them economic hope? And I believe that for too long we relied on government to do everything. That also the private sector should play on supporting them.
So I think you missed something in the formula, because I've known you for many years and you said luck, but actually, I know you, Tony. It's
that when luck meets hard work and preparedness, you succeed. So the luck in itself is like you have ideas, you're energetic, you're intelligent, you're well-behaved, and you have access to a non-refundable seed capital of $5,000 to help you implement your ideas. That's the luck there, but you must work hard. I think I'm very hardworking.
Well, thank you for your honesty on the hard work side. Okay, I was looking at some World Bank figures, and the World Bank estimates that around 60% of startups in Africa will fail within the first 3 years. There are other numbers that say 90% will fail in the first 5 years. You've been funding a lot of these entrepreneurs and these people who want to be visionaries in Africa. What is the failure rate and what is the success rate, and what are some of the businesses where you believe could become mega players in Africa?
I'll say that the failure rate is not low at all, and it's not low because it's low because there are quite a lot of challenges that young entrepreneurs go through on the continent, from poor access to electricity, to transportation infrastructure deficiency. So many things happen on the continent. But what I say to them, we must succeed in spite of all of these challenges. The failure rate is high, but from the people we have funded, the 20,000 young African entrepreneurs we funded, we've seen quite a lot of successes. And that is what encourages us. That's what makes us talk to others and say, can we partner together and let's even do more, because the continent needs a lot of such interventions. I believe that as we engage in advocacy with our government, trying to create the enabling environment that will allow these young entrepreneurs to succeed, as Friends of Africa also support in different capacity building initiatives, that the failure rate we see will change. And you don't say you will not, as entrepreneurs also, you don't say you will stop supporting them because some fail. If in a class of 10 you have 4 to 5 who succeed and succeed big, they can help also to lift more others up. But the experience is improving. We're seeing a lot of our young women coming to that space and doing very well. We're seeing young ones in tech sector. We're seeing women in agriculture. And so it's improving, and I want to see more of this. We should not be deterred by the failure that we see. We should aim to succeed in spite of that.
I'm glad you mentioned women entrepreneurs. You've mentioned it a couple of times. And actually, the informal economy on the African continent is the lifeblood of the African continent.
It is.
And by the way, women are a big players in that, whether it's the mama mbogas in Kenya that sell fruit and vegetable, or what we see on cross-border. But actually, I don't know if a lot of people know this, there's no equality in your house. Because you have 5 daughters and 2 sons.
We're oppressed at home. My wife, my 5 daughters, that is 6, and then my 2 sons are 9. So we're already oppressed at home. But I am also a product of, I grew up women, my mom, my sisters, and I've seen that investment in women, prioritizing women helps a lot in helping to develop families, communities, and our continent. And I embrace it all around me. Even in our businesses, most of our companies, you have a top leadership there of females. And it's not just because we want to balance this gender conversation. No, it's because they end it. They work very hard. And I have seen that they are great leaders and co. I sit at home. My CEO at home is my wife. my directors are
now it makes sense. Now your success makes sense.
My directors are my daughter. But the truth is, on the African continent, we have a lot of our lady women, and they are gradually getting involved in more economic activities, but I want to see more of that. And at the Tony Elumelu Foundation, most of our beneficiaries, when we started the foundation, 30% of our beneficiaries were women. But today, we've moved it to 50-50, and that is because more women are beginning to show interest in this area. I believe that the future of Africa lies in the hands of our young ones as well as our women folk. So I'm oppressed at home, but I love it.
It's brilliant. Thank you for your honesty again. I know, it's a round of applause. I don't know why it was quiet. This is the best insight we've had into Tony in a while. I want to talk about the policy environment, and frankly, this is important because, look, we can't fix the electricity problem in a day, right? We know that 60% of Africans either have no electricity or intermittent electricity, which means any entrepreneur is going to face that problem. Supply chains, logistic, very expensive compared to the rest of the world. But one thing that can alleviate the issue and the pressure is how government is treating entrepreneurs. And I wonder what the bureaucracy is like for you, for guys that have made it, and whether it's a conducive environment for entrepreneurs.
So, Eleni, in our group, the Ex Audience Group, we operate in 24 African countries.
Yeah. Which is the worst?
I don't want my business close to me, but the truth is, as Tumi said, Africa is a continent.
Yeah.
It's a continent of 54 countries, and I don't use one brush to just paint the entire continent. So in each of the 24 countries we operate in, and in fact, from the philanthropy we do, we can say we operate in 54 African countries because all our 20,000 beneficiaries cut across the entire African continent. They vary from one country to the other in terms of policies. But indeed, policy inconsistency has been a challenge in some of the geographies that we operate in. But gradually, our political leadership, our governments, they're getting more exposed. They're interacting with the others from other parts of the world. They're beginning to embrace the ease of doing business, the fact that if you want your country to develop, you must improve the operating environment. So we are seeing improvement. From when we started expanding across Africa about 15 years ago to today, I see significant improvement. But there's still more room for us to do a lot more. You know, the young entrepreneurs who we support, more would have succeeded if the enabling environment were good. The enabling environment can be better, and we are pushing. And each time I have an opportunity to interact with African leaders, that's what I say to them, soft advocacy. Say, please, you want to create jobs in your country. You can't have jobs when you don't have improvement in access to electricity. You want to create jobs in your country when you have multiple taxation systems. It's stifling, it's killing businesses. This is what young entrepreneurs tell us. They can't form their own local government. They can't have their own generating power plant, water treatment plant, etc. You must play your own role to help develop the infrastructure that will help them support what you do. So there's room for improvement on the continent, but the good news is that from where we started some years ago, I've seen progress. I even see African leaders more receptive now than ever before. So
yeah.
Fingers crossed. We're getting there. You asked about agriculture. You know,
are you going to get it? What's happening?
I have a friend in the audience here, boy, I think I saw him, who is strong in agriculture. We are looking in that area, but the right environment, because some of these investments take long gestation. Yeah. You don't want to go in there and tomorrow government changes policy. So consistency is good in investment.
That's a very good point. And you know, for the people in this room wondering what is the best sector to get into, and again, to what Tumi had said about the most exciting economic frontier, Africa is the most exciting economic frontier on the continent. The people, the resilience, the endurance, the hustle, despite all the challenges. And I wonder, what is the most exciting sector for you looking forward, Tony?
I think when I have opportunity like that, I like to tell people that the glass is half full. You can either see challenges or see opportunities. I invest in other parts of the world also. We have investment. We're the only African bank that operates in the United States of America. We have investment in regulated investment in the Gulf, and we also have investment in Europe and Co. In all the places we invest in across our group, there's nowhere else you get the kind of returns on investment as what you get in Africa. So the opportunities are there, challenges are there, but as entrepreneurs, that's what we're trained to do. We are trained to navigate challenges, you know, for the betterment of all, your business and society. So Africa beckons, Africa is open for business. We do have challenges, but you can navigate some of these challenges on the continent. We are a product of that environment, and so it's not just
open for business, absolutely. Okay, so I've seen a lot of, by the way, I mean, you know, through my career, I've been seeing multinationals going, we need to get a piece of the African pie, the growth story, the double-digit returns, and you're seeing multinationals coming in. And now you're starting to see multinationals exit because they've been burnt, either by currency or they just can't do business. And if you've tried out Nigeria and you've made it, then you really are a strong entrepreneur. That's what most people say. Why do you think multinationals are failing, and why do you think it's actually time for the African to take control of its own narrative through your philosophy, Afro-capitalism?
I think first that multinationals, some are leaving, some are also coming in. What is good for local or domestic investors is good for foreign investors. Create the enabling environment, and investors will respond rationally. There are a lot of multinationals who have succeeded and expanded on the continent, acquiring more businesses. There are some also, for a variety of reasons, who are divesting from the continent. And I think that Africans are not folding their arms. Afro-capitalism is that call. You know, for a long time, we believe, some of us believe that it's time that the African private sector stood up also and be counted. We believe that in the 21st century, investments should be made in critical sectors that help to uplift the African society in a manner that is sustainable. And I believe that from agriculture to energy sufficiency conversation that is going on now, that you're beginning to see African businesses rise and to the occasion. I believe also that the partnership between Africans and foreign investors on the continent will also help. At times, some foreign investors do not necessarily understand the African terrain very well. In the past, you used to have agents. Well, right now, you have co-investors on the continent who are ready to co-invest. We have African Finance Corporation. I saw the CEO here. They invest on the continent. They support local African investors, and they also support foreign investors. So some of those challenges that some used to have, even especially the local investors about access to capital, is gradually improving. And as we see more improvement in policy consistency on the continent, I believe that young African entrepreneurs and African private sector will even do more.
And perceptions of risk, by the way, that have been one of the biggest issues towards Africa are going to start changing, because perceptions of risk,
it's risk and reward.
It's the funding issue.
It's risk and reward. You know, that's why I said before that sometimes look as if the glass is, not it looks, the glass is half full. There's nowhere. We invest in countries. The kind of return we have on the continent is significant. You spoke before about currency issues. Currency issue is a problem on the continent, but you can also hedge some of these currency issues.
Hopefully.
No, certainly.
Hopefully. Okay, we've got a few seconds left. I want to ask you a question, which I think is quite important, because the whole world, I mean, geopolitically, you know, we say this, you know, the US sneezes and the rest of the world catches a cold. And frankly, any foreign policy that comes through major economies affects Africa. So let me ask you simply this. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. Who's going to be better for Africa? Who do we want interfering? Because someone's going to interfere.
I think for me, I know both.
Yes.
But I believe that what's important to me and to the African continent is the person that will formulate the right policy that will power our economic transformation on the continent. So the one that has the most positive economic policies that will power African economy is the person I support. Both great people, they have their strengths and weaknesses. I know both of them, but I would like the emergence of who will support the true economic transformation of Africa, because at a time like this, that is what we need on the continent. We need policies that will help to support African, I would say renaissance, but African moving.
So yes, it was Thabo Mbeki that coined African Renaissance, right, in '97. You coined Afrocapitalism. Yeah. We're moving forward.
Yeah, and, we've seen Africans do great things, and we've seen, I think Bayo Gunlesi is here. When I read about him, all the great things he's doing in the world, from Gatwick to other places, airport to other places, I say, I'm proud of this guy. That is the renaissance we talked about. Yeah. That is the new spirit. We want to see the emergence of African private sector in Africa or elsewhere in the world doing great things and showing the best that we have of Africa. And indeed, Africa is a land of opportunities. In the past, we used to say when will those opportunities begin to translate to tangible outcomes. We're seeing that now. In our group, we see that, you know, and we want to see more interest, more investment on the continent. We want to see more partnership on the continent. It's time for investment, it's time for partnership, it's not time for aid now for Africa.
Mr. Tony Elumelu, what a pleasure always to speak to you. Thank you
Eleni.
So much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Tony Elumelu. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brilliant as always.
Thank you.